Hey, this is CK at CK Education, and today I want to make this follow-up video. This will be one of in a series of videos that talk about in which I talk about interviewing. And in my last video, I talked about being the perfect candidate and how I got 12 job offers in 12 interviews. And I told you in that video that there was a lot to it. It's not just a matter of memorizing certain answers to certain questions that you might expect in an interview. Today, I want to talk about, I think, the number one most important attribute of a perfect candidate, and that is what we used to call, and when I say what we used to call, back in 1990, man, this is probably 97. I'm trying to think here, probably something around 97 or something like that. In my first job in my career, I was a salesperson and a manager and a recruiter. So I worked as a recruiter for almost a year, and I interviewed hundreds of people. So I was on the other end of this. Not only did I have 12 job interviews and 12 job offers in my career, I also interviewed hundreds of people in my career, especially in the first years of my career, in which I just did this almost full time for like 10 months. And so the number one thing that we looked for in a candidate was what we would call PMA, positive mental attitude. Positive mental attitude. So we're looking for people who are positive. And the reason we look for people who are positive is this is a very difficult thing, if not impossible thing, to teach or train. I mean, I can train a person to have certain skills if they lack certain skills, or if they don't know how to do certain things, then we can train them to do that. But it's very difficult to change a negative person into a positive person. And in any organization, it's important that we have people who are optimistic, people who are hopeful, people who have good attitudes, people who are positive minded, who have a can-do attitude, and who can think of things in positive ways rather than dwelling on the negative. This is very, very important. And I found not only for hiring people, but in families and in businesses and in when you're working with coworkers, managers, or if you have people working for you, being surrounded by people who are positive makes the workplace and the organization or the family or the group a lot better. It's just a much easier place and a better place and a less stressful place to work when people are positive. So we're looking for positive people. So the first thing and the most important characteristic of what I called in my last video a perfect candidate is having a positive mental attitude. Now, when I used to interview people, I would look for that right away. For example, if I have a list of people, I have 50 people coming in to interview that day, I would go out to the waiting room and I would call the first person. And if I call their names, I'm looking immediately at how they are responding. Did they get up right away? Are they sort of timid? Or do they seem confident? Are they making eye contact with me? Do they give me a smile? Or are they sort of avoiding eye contact? Do they look like, they're worried or concerned? I'm looking at all these things. And what I'm looking for is someone that looks eager and is excited to be here. Okay, like they've been waiting for their name to be called. So they get up, but it's not like they're in a desperate mode either. They're getting up and they're happy and they meet eyes. And I say, yeah, hi, that's me. And, you walk up and you shake hands, a firm, short handshake. They make eye contact, and you just get this positive vibe from them. They're not slouched over, and they're standing up straight, and they look confident, but they look very comfortable. And you meet them, and they walk with you. They walk with me to the interview room. Already in my mind, I'm thinking this person seems pretty positive, or not. Now, when they sit down, I grew up in Seattle, and it rains a lot in Seattle. It rains frequently. So I would always ask this question. I would say, so how was your drive over here? And I would get probably one or two answers usually. Because like if it's raining outside, I especially ask them, how was your drive over here? And in those cases, I would get one of two answers. Okay, they might say something like, well, I got stuck in traffic and it was raining outside. So yeah, it's kind of miserable outside, but I'm here. then I'm thinking, okay, that wasn't the best answer. Okay, that I don't feel positive vibes from that. But someone might say, well, the traffic was kind of bad because it's obviously raining outside, but I'm really happy to be here and I look forward to the interview. The same situation, the same traffic, the same rainy weather, and yet this person uh, ends it in a positive note. If I ask a question like, well, why did you leave your previous job? And maybe it was they didn't pay enough. Okay, maybe the candidates think they didn't pay enough. So one person might say, they just didn't pay their employees enough. I think they're like shortchanging their employees, and I think that the management, wasn't doing a good job, and so I'm looking for better opportunities. That's not very positive to me. Okay, so the same situation again. Thinks he or she's getting underpaid, and in the last previous job, maybe they left it because they weren't getting paid enough. But they're not dwelling on the negative. Well, I lost my, I left my previous job, or maybe they didn't leave it yet, but I'm looking for a new job. And if I say, well, why are you looking for a new job? Why are you thinking about leaving your previous job? Well, I'm looking for better opportunities. I want an opportunity to grow. I feel a little bit stagnant in my current job. I mean, it's a great job. My boss is wonderful, but I'm looking for better opportunities, and I really want to go to a place where I can grow. And I think that this organization, your organization, is just a place where I can do that. See, that's really ending in a much more positive note, right? And so, it's these. So whatever question you're asked, whatever situation you find yourself in, whatever thing you are explaining, even if it's sort of a negative thing, you want to always end it in a positive note. Like if someone asks you, so do you have this skill? You say, oh man, I'm sorry, I don't have that skill. Unfortunately, I just no, I don't. Okay, that kind of answer is not good. Okay? If someone asks you if you have a certain skill, you can just very honestly say, I don't. But if you guys have training to help me improve that skill or to gain that skill, man, I would really look forward to that. That would be great. You see, that's a very different kind of answer. And if someone asks you, let's say for your weaknesses, sometimes they ask these questions, what's your strength? What do you think is your greatest strength, your greatest weakness? And they ask about your weakness. And someone might answer and say, well, I don't know. I just have a hard time, motivating myself, or I have a hard time, whatever the thing is and they sort of dwell on the negative, or I'm really an impatient person. It just annoys me sometimes when people can't like get to the point. And okay, so if someone answers like that, and that may truly be a one of their negatives is being impatient. Okay, but the same problem, a same weakness, another candidate, a positive candidate, wouldn't answer like that. A positive candidate may say something like, honestly, I think one of my biggest weaknesses is being impatient. I mean, I think it could go both ways. Sometimes it serves me well, sometimes it doesn't. And over the years, sometimes I do get impatient when I think that people aren't getting to the point quick enough. But I've been working on this, and I really try to analyze myself, and I'm working on how to improve that. And one of the things that I learned was to just listen to people, listen to the end, and then sort of summarize what I think they said so that I have a clear picture or a clear idea of what they said. And then if they agree with me, and they felt like they were understood, and I felt like I understood them, I don't know, it just helps the communication, and it just makes the communication so much more effective. So I'm finding ways, and I found ways to sort of overcome that. But if I were to name a weakness, that would probably be the one weakness that I'm working on. Okay, you see, so it's not like, oh, I suck at that, and that's my weakness, and I hope I get better someday. I'm working on it. I'm doing something about it. It's something that I'm working on. It's something that I've gotten better at. And I've even given you an example of some of the things that I've done and how that has become maybe an asset to me even, okay? And then you might say it's a weakness, but sometimes it works in my favor because I like to get things done very quickly. I don't like to procrastinate. And so sometimes if I'm impatient with other people, I'm also impatient with myself. And so that sometimes works in my favor as well. So you can give both sides. Now, but when they ask for a weakness, now this gets into other things, but when they ask for a weakness, don't disguise it with an actual strength. I really work too hard, or I'm just too honest. I'm just a too kind of a person. Okay, you don't want to sound stupid like that. Okay, you're gonna sound stupid. You're gonna be like, the other person is gonna think that you're just disguising it. That's not really a weakness. I mean, you're just disguising your weakness, and you're just naming a strength. So again, that's something that you have to have thought of beforehand and prepared yourself for. So things like that. But whatever questions are asked, okay, whatever, you got to end with a positive. And the more you do that, think of it like you're getting points. Okay. Now, it may not be something that's conscious on the part of the interviewer, but if I'm encountering someone who's positive, I just get a better feeling about that person, rather than that person, I feel like they're whining. I feel like they're blaming people all the time. I feel like they're complaining. I don't want to really hire someone like that, because that person's going to complain and whine and blame when they get into this company as well. And I don't want someone like that in my company. I want someone who's optimistic and has a positive mental attitude. Okay, so again, I think this is the number one most important attribute of what I call the perfect candidate, having a positive mental attitude. Now, let me just finish it by saying this, because I don't want to prolong this forever. But having a positive mental attitude is not something that you just turn on and turn off. Okay, it's not something that you just go into, okay, I gotta really pump myself up and be positive. That's not what I'm talking about. This takes real work in being really honest with yourself, reflecting on yourself, and being and working on yourself. It is not acting positive or saying positive things merely. It is really becoming a positive person. Okay. Now you say, well, I'm just a pessimist by nature. I'm just always negative. Well, you got to fix that. Okay. Because here's the thing. If you're always negative, you might be wondering why I don't get ahead, why I'm always passed up for advancements, why I don't get a raise, why I don't get along with my coworkers, why I don't get along with my boss, why, whatever. Okay. Why I don't succeed, why I don't achieve my goals. Probably because you're negative. It's hard to be successful if you're negative. You've got to change that. Okay. Now, how do you change that? There's not just one method and you snap a finger and you're positive. It takes really a rewriting of your software. And when I say software, I mean your mindset. You got to fill your mind. If you're a very negative person, you're probably believing a lot of lies in your head about yourself, about the world, about people, and you've got to change that. Okay. Who you are, who people are, how you should treat people, and all that kind of stuff. You got to get that straight in your head in order to become a positive person, in order not to become a cynical person, not to become a negative person. It's only when you become a positive person that sort of exudes and it sort of expresses itself outside. But if you're negative really inside, you're just trying to act positive, I mean, that's going to show through. It shows through very, very quickly. All right. So you got to become a positive person. Now, I think maybe a little bit you see why. I mean, you can't just memorize things to become a good interviewee, to be successful in interviews. It's the kind of person you are. So it all goes back to mindset. That's why I always say mindset is the most important thing. You've got to rearrange. You've got to upgrade your software in here. You got to sometimes purge the old stuff in here, and you got to fill it up with the right things. You got to get rid of the lies, and you got to fill it up with truth. And unless you do that, you just fool yourself. And you think that you'll fool others. But it's very difficult to fool people in the long run. You'll be found out. If you're a negative person, you'll be found out. Okay? So it's very important. And all of the attributes that I'm going to talk about, almost all of them, if not every single one of them, will be centered around how you are and what kind of person you are becoming and what kind of person you are, not just techniques and little skills like that. It is not that shallow. It is not that simple to be really good at something. And so I encourage you, don't just try the shortcut way. If they ask this, I'm just going to answer like this. It's not a robotic interaction like that. It is a real person-to-person interaction when you're doing an interview. And if you become a person with a positive mental attitude, you really have a positive mental attitude inside your heart, inside your head, you're just going to do so much better in everything. So that's what I would encourage you to do. I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for staying with me up to this point. In subsequent videos, I will cover more attributes of a perfect candidate, but this was the first one. My channel has a lot of other videos about career success, college prep advice, money and personal finance advice, parenting advice, mindset for success. And so I encourage you to check it out. Again, as always, I'm not trying to increase my subscriptions or views or anything like that. I know everybody on YouTube's like and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. I don't care if you don't subscribe. I don't care if you don't like. I don't care if you don't. But the thing is, I want you to be helped. Okay, that is my motivation. That's my goal. If only one person is really helped, that's worth it for me. All right, that's what I'm not trying to monetize. I'm not trying to make money on this. I just want you, the viewer, to be helped, and that is my main motivation. So I hope you are. If you have any further, more detailed questions or anything that I didn't answer, feel free to leave it in the comments and I will correspond with you. So again, thank you, and until my next video, I hope you stay well.